Good evening. I'm calling this meeting to order. It is 7 o'clock. The first item on the agenda is public comments on agenda items. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes, and to people that are present. Would anybody like to make public comment on any agenda item? Okay. So the next item on the agenda are the minutes from August 18, 2022. Kathy Biddle distributed those electronically to board members. Does anybody have any corrections to the minutes? Oh, and I might just note, we have 4 board members present tonight, and that is a quorum according to our bylaws. Does anybody have any comments on the minutes, any corrections? No? Do I have a motion to approve?
I move that the minutes of the August 18, 2022 meeting be approved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The motion carries. Communications and announcements. That is you, Kathy?
Yes, thank you. The first item is the Keystone Community Grant solar equipment. Libraries within the 26th Senatorial District received a grant and are the recipients of solar benches or charging poles. We're working with the vendor General Recreation, Inc., and they have conducted all of the site visits. Installation of the equipment has begun and is expected to be completed over the next 2 months or so. This initiative is a result of a collaboration between Senator Carney's office, the Swarthmore Public Library, and Delaware County Library Headquarters. Are there any questions?
I don't have any questions.
Okay, hearing none, I'm going to move on to item B, which is the Keystone Recreation Park and Conservation Fund, and that would be Assistant Director, District Consultant Annie Lepley.
Yes, 2 Keystone grants in a row. Applications for the Keystone Recreation Park and Conservation Fund grant cycle closed on October 14th. The Keystone Grant Program provides funds to sponsoring municipalities for up to 50% of eligible project costs to plan, acquire, construct, or rehabilitate public libraries. The maximum grant is $750,000 and requires a dollar-for-dollar local match. The Delaware District Agreement does stipulate that all libraries applying for a Keystone grant must inform the district consultant and the DCL board. This year, we do have 5 member libraries that have applied. I'll tell you just a quick few things about each one. The Rachel Cole Community Library has applied for a project that would convert office space into a children's library and programming space and to install automatic entrance doors. The local population has increased 103% between the building of the current library and 2020. And the library use has significantly increased during that period as well, but it is hampered by a much too small space. The library received a large bequest that they would be using as matching funds. The Darby Free Library is housed in an 1872 building that is not accessible by any standards. Their proposed project focuses on these issues and includes adding an elevator and ramp and safety improvements. The library received community project funding with the support of Congresswoman Mary Gay Scanlon that would be used as their matching funds. The Radnor Memorial Library is applying to replace a portion of the roof that was not done during their previous renovation. Over the last year, they have experienced large and small leaks, and large parts of their collection are at risk, and popular spaces would be inaccessible if the roof fails. Norwood's project adds accessible entry doors to the library. The library has made strides in ADA compliance on the building's interior, but the entrance has been a major barrier. Last but not least, the Yeadon Public Library's proposal includes the installation of automatic doors and replacement of specific windows in the building. These projects directly relate to the library's 2020 strategic plan and are the continuation of work done in 2018 that was also funded by a Keystone grant. May I answer any questions?
So are those projects approved, or they've been just proposed?
They've applied for the grant.
Okay, so they haven't
they're
necessarily-
being considered
okay.
at this point, yes.
And when will they find out, do you know?
I don't actually know that they have an estimated award date at this point, or I don't know what it is.
And I hate to go backwards, but I had a question about the solar benches and poles.
Yeah.
So what does that let people charge phones and tablets and things?
Yes, it does. There are USB ports in all the devices, and people can sit or stand near the pole. I believe the libraries that are getting the poles will have chairs seating near them, and you just plug in your device and you're good to go.
And are libraries in addition to the Swarthmore Library? going
Yeah,
get
it's, I believe it's 11 or 12 libraries that are in the 26th district
Got it.
for Senator Carney, and actually one of those libraries is in Chester County.
Thank you.
It gets back to you, Kathy.
Okay, thank you, Annie. The next item on the agenda is database training. Beginning in October, we will be having weekly database training for any staff of member libraries who's interested. The trainings will alternate between the Marple and Ridley Township libraries on either Monday or Tuesday each week. They'll be in hybrid format for those who are unable to attend in person. But we want to encourage everybody to attend in person for the best experience. The schedule looks like this. On October 24th, we're going to feature Help Now, which is our homework help database and online tutoring. October 31st is Consumer Reports. November 7th is Newsbank, which provides access to digital copies of the Inquirer, the Philadelphia Inquirer, and the Delaware County Daily Times. November 14th is Newspaper Archive, which is the historical Inquirer and Delaware County Times. November 22nd is Weiss Financial Ratings. November 28th is A to Z Databases, which is a business database. December 5th is Novelist and Novelist K through 8, which is book suggestions, author read-alikes. It's a really fun database. December 12th is Pronunciator, which is our language database. And December 20th are our various ebook databases and Power Library. The dates through the end of the year are all up on the staff calendar. There are 2 registration links, one for in-person and one for Zoom, and we hope that library staff members attend. Are there any questions? Okay, moving on. Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Committee. Delaware County Government has hired a Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer named Lauren Footman. Ms. Footman will be a guest speaker at the Delaware County Library's November 3rd EDI meeting, where she will share insights into her newly created role and answer questions. Related to this, Delaware County Libraries has partnered with Ms. Footman to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month, which just wrapped up on October 15th. And we will continue to collaborate with Ms. Footman to support any and all initiatives in order to meet Delaware County's EDI mission and goals. Okay, there's a lot on the agenda tonight. So Pennsylvania Library Association. Delaware County representatives. 2 representatives from Delaware County Libraries have been elected to leadership positions within the Southeast chapter. The Southeast region of the association is Delaware County, Chester, Montgomery, Bucks, and Philadelphia. So I am happy to announce that our own district consultant, Assistant Director Annie Lepley, will serve as the treasurer, while the Tinicum Library Director, Linda West, will serve as nominations and elections representative. Ms. Lepley has also been selected to serve on the association's legislative committee for 2023. Our PR and grants coordinator, Teresa Dykes, was appointed as chair of the PR and marketing committee for the association, and director of library services and system administrator, Catherine Biddle, has been appointed vice chair of the Pennsylvania Library Association Academy of Leadership Studies for a 2nd term. Are there any questions?
Congratulations to you.
Yes.
That's
Are
pretty
you
good.
planning a takeover?
We are so happy that we're well represented within the association, and I think that it pays off for our libraries. So thank you so much, and it's well earned by all the staff within Delaware County Libraries. And the next item is Library Journal and School Library Journal Conference. Delaware County Libraries Youth Services Coordinator Sherry Crow has been selected by our ebook vendor Overdrive to present at the annual Library Journal School Library Journal Conference in November. This year's conference theme is the power of partnerships, and Sherry was selected due to her efforts to connect schools and public libraries in order to collaborate to maximize their impact on their community. Sherry has worked with multiple school districts in Delaware County to adopt the Power Library Connect feature called Sora. Sora empowers students to borrow age-appropriate ebooks and audiobooks from both their school and public library digital collections in one convenient place. So we're super proud of Sherry. Are there any questions? No? Okay, I'm going to move on. So PA Executive Order 2022-03. Governor Tom Wolf has signed Executive Order 2022-03 to greatly expand access for eligible Pennsylvanians to obtain voter registration information whenever they do business with a Commonwealth agency. Public libraries are now voter registration distribution agencies and are required to provide voter registration materials and information to their clients. To that end, the Office of Commonwealth Libraries has shipped paper forms and signage to all member libraries so that they can meet the voter registration service needs of residents. Election Day in Pennsylvania is November 8th, and the deadline to register to vote is October 24th.
Kathy, are we advertising that through our website and social media posts?
Yeah, we're going to advertise it through social media. I also reached out to the director of Bureau of Elections to let him know, and the county, they have a newsletter. They are going to highlight it in there too.
Well, that's fantastic.
Thank you. And now I'm going to turn it over to Annie.
I'm going to give a brief strategic plan update. The DCL staff had their third quarter check-in with our strategic planning consultant, Cheryl Trent, on September 7th. We reviewed successes and discussed priorities for the final quarter of the year. We also discussed the implementation of metrics to be better able to provide data on the progress of the plan. While there's been work in many areas of the plan, I'd like to specifically tell you about the launch of our Strategic Plan Superstar program. We know that effectively and efficiently providing our community with high-quality library services means that we must work collaboratively to achieve our strategic goals. So we are recognizing member library staff who help further these shared goals through this program. We see the plan in action every day at every library, but a few of those programs and staff members that we have highlighted with the Strategic Plan Superstar include Bridget Crockett from Marple Library and Jennifer Phillips from Swarthmore Library for their collaboration on a local author showcase. Laura Kuchme from Middletown Library for building a partnership with the Penn State Brandywine Library that will be rolling out very soon. Rochelle Fagg from Upper Darby Libraries for creating a library card sign-up month community partnership with 5 Points Coffee. Jean Kosha and Donna Fountain of Upper Darby Municipal Library for their Teen Art Studio collaboration. And finally, Arlene Caruso from Newtown Public Library, Sandra Samuels from Media Upper Providence Library, and Katie Wolverton of Ridley Park Library for sharing their experiences with Going Fine Free to help other libraries learn more and consider this. So those are our superstars from the last few months. Do you have any questions?
Are Is the issue of metrics the biggest challenge you're facing?
I think that so many of our goals are difficult to find, really qualitative, like metrics that we can track, or quantitative, I mean. So we are working through that and getting some suggestions from our consultant about that, yes.
Annie, there was something about DCL Digest. Yeah, so were you going to report on that now?
Yes, you know what? I didn't have it, but I can tell you a little bit about that. We did begin one of our strategic plan initiatives is a newsletter that we'll be publishing quarterly from the DCL headquarters called the DCL Digest. It's for staff at member libraries, highlighting strategic plan information and superstars, as well as sort of news and other things happening at Delaware County Libraries.
Would it be possible for the board members to get an electronic copy of that when it comes out?
Absolutely.
Yeah, great, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so is that everything for communications and announcements?
It is.
Okay. All right, moving on. The financial report for September 2022 was distributed by Kathy Biddle electronically to the board. Does anybody have any comments or questions on the September financial report? Okay, hearing no comments or questions, can I get a motion to approve the September 2022?
I move that we approve the September 2022 financial report.
I second the approval.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? And the motion carries. Item number 6 on the agenda, Administrator's Report.
Okay, electric delivery van. I believe I had reported previously that County Council had approved the purchase of an electric delivery van for library services. That item got canceled because of supply chain issues. So at their August 17th meeting, County Council approved a second van, well, it's the original van, but from a different vendor, the purchase of an electric delivery van to transport materials between libraries. The expected delivery date is sometime in 2023. DCL headquarters has also taken delivery of an electric car that will be utilized by staff to travel to libraries, meetings, and events, and it is very cool. Are there any questions?
Do we have enough drivers?
We do. Actually, everyone was very excited when they got the car. So we have a calendar of who has the car when, so that everybody has a chance to drive it. The next item is county coordination aid. I'm going to ask for a motion, and this was actually in the packet that I sent out. Pursuant to Section 9337 of the Public Library Code, a county library or county library system must expend county coordination aid funds to implement a countywide cooperative plan to improve and extend library service. The county coordination plan establishes annual priorities for the use of county coordination aid. The plan must address priorities from the areas of library service and administration, library resources and collection, technology, personnel, and/or services to children, adults, and special populations. Delaware County Libraries will set aside $187,652 towards these priorities. A committee made up of representatives from Darby, Marcus Hook, Swarthmore, Middletown, Marple, and Springfield libraries provided valuable input into the plan. The signature page for the plan was due from libraries on October 7th, and we're requesting a motion to approve.
I so move.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, the next item is the plan for the use of state aid, and I will also be asking for a motion. On September 26th, the Office of Commonwealth Libraries opened the plan for the use of state aid for the funding year 2023 on their website, Counting Opinions. All public libraries that receive state aid in Pennsylvania are required to complete the plan. The purpose of financial assistance to local public libraries by the Commonwealth is to encourage and enable the improvement of public library service throughout this Commonwealth, and thereby to fulfill the educational, informational, and recreational needs of its residents served by public library agencies. In order that state funds shall be applied to this end, Section 304 of the Library Code requires that each library applying for state aid shall submit plans for the use of the funds leading to the achievement of applicable standards. The plan must be completed and submitted by November 4th. If libraries did not meet state standards in 2021, waiver requests should be submitted by the same date of November 4th. DCL headquarters is asking for a motion from the Delaware County Library Board to approve just the Delaware System Administrative Office Plan for state aid in the amount of $485,541.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, the next item would be Annie.
Yes, member library audits or financial reviews. Pursuant to Pennsylvania Code Section 131, the audit shall be filed every year for libraries which receive annually $50,000 or more in state income, or every third year with a financial review filed in the years that an audit is not required for libraries which receive annually less than $50,000 in state income. 22 of 26 member libraries and the County of Delaware provided their 2021 audits or financial reviews to meet the October 1 deadline for submission to the Pennsylvania Department of Education, Office of Commonwealth Libraries. One library provided their audit on October 4th, and there are 3 outstanding submissions. And if you have any questions, I can answer those.
Do we know when we will, or when you will receive the outstanding submissions?
2 are expected next week after talking with their auditor, and the third we'll talk about in the next section.
You said 2 are expected when?
Next week. Okay. If there are no further questions, I'll move on to the next agenda item, the 2022 state aid disbursement. After providing some background, I'll be asking for 2 motions from the board related to the 2021-2022 state aid to libraries funding and the Borough of Fulcroft Public Library. Acting upon the guidance of the Pennsylvania Department of Education, Office of Commonwealth Libraries, at your February 17th meeting, this board voted unanimously to withhold 2021-2022 Pennsylvania state aid to libraries funding until such time as the Borough of Fulcroft Public Library provided its 2019 and 2020 financial reviews. It also stipulated that if the reviews were not submitted by October 1, 2022, the funds would be forfeited. Delaware County Libraries made every effort to communicate with and assist the library and borough stakeholders, but unfortunately, the deadline was not met. Additionally, the Borough of Fulcroft Public Library has now also missed the deadline for submitting its 2021 audit, which was due no later than October 1, 2022. The Borough of Fulcroft manager has submitted a formal request for additional time on October 19th, and based on the requirements for funds to be expended by December 31st, 2022, we are recommending and requesting a motion to extend the deadline for the Borough of Fulcroft Public Library to provide the required reports, financial reviews for the years of 2019 and 2020, and a full audit for the year of 2021 to November 21st, 2022 at 4:30 p.m. So I'm hoping that a motion can be made along those lines. If you have any questions first.
I did have a question. Obviously, we want the library to be able to obtain the funds But this has been an issue for 3 years now. Has the borough been able to provide any assurances that it will be able, if we grant an additional extension, that it will be able to achieve compliance?
Yeah, I actually received a letter from the borough manager, and he stated that at their borough council meeting on October 18th, he had updated the council members. He advised them of the situation. He has contacted an auditing firm, and he hopes to have a clearer answer as to when these reports can be completed. Their borough council is willing to pay an extra expense to expedite the reviews and the audit. So we are hopeful that the audits and reviews can be submitted by November 21st at 4:30, so we can disperse the funds to the Fallcroft Library.
As Jenny said, we know that you guys have been working very diligently on this issue for a long time, so we appreciate the efforts that you put in.
Thank you. So, yeah.
Just a question. Is this the first time the borough council or the borough manager has been in contact with you in regards to this matter?
No, we actually reached out to the borough manager in February of 2022 to make him aware of the situation. And then I called him in the beginning of September to also offer to help in any way that we could to make sure that we received the documents.
Okay, well, as long as they're making progress on it, it looks like, yeah, that's fine.
I move that the deadline for the Borough of Fallcroft Public Library to submit financial reviews for the reporting years of 2019 and 2020 and a full financial audit for reporting year 2021 be extended until November 21, 2022 at 4:30 p.m. All 3 reports must be submitted electronically to the Delaware County Libraries District Consultant via email.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The motion carries.
Of course, as we've mentioned, we're hopeful that this deadline is met. However, in the event that it is not, we have been assured and received verification from the Office of Commonwealth Libraries in a September 20th, 2022 email that the system is empowered by code to distribute these funds as they see fit. As such, we're recommending and requesting a motion from the board authorizing the reallocation of funds should the Borough of Fallcroft Public Library not meet the above deadlines. Delaware County Libraries would then distribute the $23,981 of forfeited state aid to libraries funds equally to the 25 remaining libraries, with each library receiving $959.24.
What happens to the money if we did not distribute it as suggested?
I'm going to ask Kathy to answer.
It gets completely forfeited, correct?
Yes, the state has a requirement that we have to expend the funds by December 31st, 2022. So if we don't disperse the funds, it goes back to the state.
You want to ask a question?
You have a question?
What's if they don't, if Fallcroft doesn't come through the library, right? What's the plan afterwards for next year then? Are they off of our list or?
We haven't thought any further than the November 21st due date. We're hoping that we receive their audits and reviews.
Okay.
what happens if they submit something by the deadline, but it does not comply with the requirements? Or it is partial?
The money would be forfeit and dispersed to the remaining 25 libraries.
Can we, or can you make sure that the manager, the Fallcroft Borough manager is aware of that? And
I was clear in my communications and also informed Council Chair, Dr. Taylor, so she's aware. So he's aware.
We will send formal communication about what's decided this evening, tomorrow, or.
is it reasonable to maybe ask if they want, if they would like, or offer them the ability to submit a draft that you could check for them before the deadline? Or is that, I hate to think that. I mean,
Right.
I know we have been bending over backwards.
Right. So I think that the communications between the Borough of Fallcroft and Delaware County Library's headquarters have been crystal clear, and I think everybody understands, what has to be done to make this happen. So we're just optimistic that they can meet that deadline of November 21st.
And any auditor that they engage would also be very familiar with
Yeah.
exactly
And
what's
they would have
required.
previous reports, like 2018, 2017, to look back on. So I mean, the only thing that I could think would be if they screwed up their numbers, but I mean, that's the accountant, as you said, so, yeah. Okay, so do we have a motion?
Okay. I make a motion that should the Borough of Fallcroft Public Library not meet the extended November 21, 2022 deadline, the Delaware County Library staff will then be authorized to distribute the forfeited funds totaling $23,981 equally among the remaining 25 member libraries in the next county check run as determined by the Controller's Office schedule.
I seconded that.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Committee reports?
I don't believe you met this, right? You guys didn't have any committee meetings?
No.
Okay.
New. Yeah, yes. Hopefully, we won't be having a committee before the end of the year. New business, 2023 meetings.
Yes, so we received a request from the Radnor Library that they would like to go back to they would like this board to go back to the first Thursday of the even months. We had changed them when the pandemic began, and we had to come back to meeting in person, and we couldn't meet the first Thursday because it was a conflict with the new Department of Health board. So before I brought that to you, I wanted to make sure there were no conflicts with any other library boards. And it turns out that the first Thursday of the month are Norwood Library Board meeting and Middletown Library Board meeting. It became pretty apparent once I started getting responses from the libraries that there was no good day because there are 26 member libraries, and if you think about it and do the math and you don't count Fridays and Saturdays and Sundays, people meet. So my recommendation is that we keep the third Thursday of every even month, which is what we're doing now, but possibly move the meeting up to 6 p.m., an hour earlier. This would allow the Radnor board to attend virtually. They can't do so now because they're actually meeting as we meet. But if we meet an hour early, that should meet their needs and be a compromise, and give them enough time to attend their board, because I believe some of their board meetings are virtual.
And this is every month, you said?
No, it's every other month, yeah.
Keep the even months, the third Thursday of even months like we do now, we would just meet an hour earlier.
I mean, would be easy for me because I'm retired, but I'm wondering if for, member library trustees who work full-time, whether that would be difficult for them to get to a 6 o'clock meeting. And
Right.
I mean, if people are attending in person, and the traffic would be worse.
Right, but then, you have to weigh the fact that most boards have at least 7 members. And as when I was in a member library, my board rotated, like the same person didn't come each month. And actually, you could go a whole year without attending a meeting and then just pick up the next year. So I wouldn't worry too much about that being a factor. And as you can see by the huge crowd in the audience, everybody rushed to get here through. But good for you guys that did come. So they are attending virtually. So I wouldn't let that be a mitigating factor.
Well, I mean, one issue I have is I would like to see more people in attendance here. Now, I'm hopeful that if we move it to 6 o'clock, I can still encourage people to come to these meetings in person. The meetings used to be in person prior to COVID, and I felt that quite a bit of camaraderie was built between the libraries by having the meetings in person. People would be able to make connections if, their libraries were considering doing different programs or doing modifications or updating their bylaws. It was a great opportunity to connect with other people from other libraries. So I would hope that by changing it to 6 o'clock, that's not going to further deter people from coming in person. And in addition, libraries used to be able to make statements about what was going on at their particular libraries. And it was very interesting when it was my turn to come. I used to be on the Radnor Library Board, to hear what the other libraries were doing. And it did give me ideas that I brought back to my board. And that is totally gone now because the only the only public comment is limited to the people here, and there's only maybe 3 libraries here. So I hope that if we do change the time to 6 o'clock, it's not going to deter people from coming. And if you're listening at home, I encourage you to come to these meetings.
I tend to agree with that. I also wonder, Kathy, if Radnor has considered, I don't know how many board members they have, but if they could have one board member 6 times a year attend our meetings virtually. Our meetings generally are, relatively short, and then they could attend the rest of their own board meeting.
I had actually spoken to the director about that, and she let me know that their board members would rather be attending the Radnor Library Board meetings.
Have they considered moving their board meetings?
I did not ask. I could ask. The worst they can say is no, right?
Seems like we're in a dilemma here.
Does changing the time to 6 o'clock impact you, Inder or Karen?
Doesn't impact me.
No, I would actually like it better. Come straight here and
Because you
have
work in media? Yeah.
No, but I'm typically available better at 6 than I am 7.
Okay.
And also,
Why don't we try it for the year and see what happens?
Doug's not here. I'm sorry, Doug Ferguson, who's also on the board, is not here. But he had emailed me and said he would prefer 6 o'clock.
One more question, Kathy. Were you able to get any input from the other library boards about whether they care one way or the other if this meeting is at 6 or at 7?
You know what? I did not ask them. I could send out a general email and get some feedback from the directors.
I mean, if you feel
Yeah.
like I'm overthinking this, that's fine. I'm just a little uncomfortable.
We have a couple board members in the audience. Would you feel comfortable having them come up and make comments? And they can give you some
I'm
feedback?
happy to have them come up if they, I mean,
don't-
do you care
if they're
about 6 o'clock
comfortable doing
versus 7
that.
o'clock?
Do you have an opinion either way, 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock?
7 o'clock is better for me.
Okay.
So I have a late afternoon appointment and then get home and to eat dinner and then to get here.
Do you think would that be the general feeling of your entire board? Do you come to these meetings all the time, or do you come virtually, or?
I have come virtually, sometimes post-pandemic, but I've come in person.
Are you just the elected person to come all the time?
No, anybody can come and it's whoever's available.
Okay.
But those who have come to the live meetings in the past like that because of the camaraderie and being able to talk to representatives from other.
Can I make a suggestion that we hold off then until December?
Yeah, and
I
if
could
you could
get-
maybe
Do
put.
a survey?
Yes, and if you could try to reserve the room at 6 and 7, I mean, is that possible?
If you put a hold on the room from, I say 5:30 until 8,
Yeah,
that should be fine.
yeah,
I think most of the time, as long as it's not like election season, you'll probably be okay. Their board is kind of sporadic.
yeah, and we should have it resolved by December then, yeah. Okay, thank you, Kathy.
Sure.
All right, so old business, district negotiated agreement, I guess it needs to be modified?
Yes. So I had originally sent this out to you, I believe, I can't remember, maybe last meeting. But anyway, it's in your packet now that I sent out. Yes, as reported at the August meeting, the Office of Commonwealth Libraries notified all districts that there was a 17.2% increase in district appropriations. So the agreement needed to be revised and signed again. After seeking input from the member library directors, the district consultant, Annie Lepley, coordinated with the district negotiating committee to determine how the extra funding should be applied to district services. This required a quick turnaround, and the agreement was adopted by a majority of the member libraries on September 22nd, 2022. Our annual district agreement is a statutory requirement as a district library center, but also works towards creating greater stakeholder engagement, a collaborative and sustainable strategic goal. We're asking for a motion to approve the new agreement.
It's a great motion to have to make. I move to approve the amendment.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The motion carries. Okay, so public comments. Now, these comments can be on any topic. So if you have something you'd like to say about your library, or if you have questions about any of the agenda items, please feel free to come forward. Okay, seeing no public comment, I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? And we are adjourned.